Welcome to Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, Ibadan. I'm Oluwayemi Adelaku.
And I'm Anulu Akpo. Thank you very much for joining us this Monday morning.
Right. The Action Alliance has protested the exclusion of its candidate from the 2027 election list published by INEC, raising concerns over fairness and transparency in the electoral process.
So, what does this mean for Nigeria's democracy? And how can confidence in the electoral processes be strengthened ahead of the 2027 general elections? That is our Daybreak gist this morning. And coming up shortly after then is the next segment of the program, of course, where we take into the newspaper headlines and analysis featuring the stories making the biggest impact across the country, Nigeria. Right,
and later on the program, our big story focuses on democracy under scrutiny. Cardinal Naikon's concerns and the 2027 race. And joining us to discuss this is Sam Oko, Deputy Editor with Nigerian Tribune.
And before we leave you this morning, we'll recap today's major stories and conversations.
Welcome to Daybreak Live this morning. Good morning, Anna.
Good morning to you this morning.
Right.
So the bone of contention, if I may, this morning, it's something quite interesting to look out. Just yesterday or the day before, INEC released the listing for the candidates according to what they have on their portal, and so different reactions, people having conversations about what name is listed, what name is not listed, and parties also making a claim. But this time around, it's about the Action Alliance AA asking INEC to review its 2027 candidate list. And just briefly into that, the Action Alliance has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to review the published list of candidates for the 2027 general elections, saying its candidates were omitted despite court judgments, which it said recognized the leadership of its national chairman, Chief Barrister Kenneth Udeze. And just in the statement that was released by the national chairman, Barrister Kenneth Udeze, the party urged the Electoral Commission to publish a revised list reflecting candidates nominated by the Udeze-led National Executive Committee. And yes, of course, that's the claim the AA is making. But I think one of the things that really struck me was that, according to the party, they gave out that the Court of Appeal judgment had affirmed the legitimacy of the Udeze-led leadership, and it expressed concern that candidates it said were validly nominated under the leadership were not included in INEC's published list. So what they gave, they maintained that its candidates emerged from party primaries conducted in line with the timelines and provisions of the law, according to them. And then they requested that INEC should review that particular publication. So they also went on to give 48 hours ultimatum to INEC to say, review this, or we'll probably make it a legal situation. But, you know, I'm looking at it from different perspectives. The claims they are putting on the table of discourse, is it valid enough for INEC to review? If INEC is going to review, so you're just going to review for the AA or some other parties who might have concerns as well. And maybe just to prove that INEC is supposed to be as firm, not to say they cannot go back on or rescind on their decision, but just to say that they can be firm and show firmness to say, we've given a deadline. If you miss out on the deadline, that's the end of the situation. But that's the way I look at it. What do you make of it, Yemi?
Right, I think there's a lot going on. Talking about our party system as a country, Nigeria, I think a lot is going on. And even when we were practicing two-party system, we're not dealing with issues like this. Maybe because we have multiple, parties, and maybe that's why we're experiencing this. Because for a party like Action Alliance, and it's not even very popular or very big like the other parties, and they are suffering or they are experiencing factional issues. There's the faction of Kenneth Udeze, just like you mentioned, there's the faction of Adekunle Rufai Omoaje, and both are relying on the court ruling to say the court is asking us to continue. I'm the right person, I'm the leader of the party, I'm the chairman of the party, and things like that. So I want to ask a question. Does it mean that the law is no longer above all, or is the law not clear enough? Because, if these two people, or let me say these two factions, are claiming we are the right faction, and so the other faction is not the right faction, so how clear is the law? How clear is the court judgment, that these people are relying on? And that's another problem. And that's why I ask questions. This is not the first time that INEC and political parties are having issues like this. I remember that there was a time that even NDC, PDP accused INEC of being biased to say, okay, this party or these people don't want us to contest. They don't want our candidate, to contest for elections, and that's why they're doing all of this. So another thing is that this is also not the first time that citizens citizens, Nigerians, we accuse INEC of releasing certain important information about candidates, to certain people. You remember the Emeka Ike saga and how Wike's aide posted something about him online, especially something that has to do with his, his ambition, in the country. So my question now is, can we ensure that the law is clear enough? Because we have also seen cases whereby some governors will not follow court order in this same Nigeria. We are seeing cases whereby some ministers did not follow court order in this same Nigeria. We have seen cases whereby political parties will also accuse, or let me say, we also accuse INEC of not following court order. So is it that the law is not clear enough? Because I mean, the law should be clear enough even for a very young person to understand that this is what the court is saying. This is the ruling. So both are banking on separate court rulings to say we are the right faction. Just like what happened in PDP, the Wike-led faction, the Turaki faction. The same thing is happening to Action Alliance. So it's like there's a problem within our political parties. I mean, there should be a total overhaul. It's like they need to work on their ideologies. So if the same thing that is happening to the bigger parties is happening to the smaller parties, I think there's a fundamental problem that should be tackled. Because I mean, before even blaming INEC, how come you're always having factions in a small party like Action Alliance? How come you're always having factions? So I think it's a representation of what we have in the bigger parties. That's what we are experiencing in the smaller parties. So the political parties should find a way to resolve their issues. How come every issue will always get to court? And you waste millions of naira, you waste your time when the other parties are planning to, they are mobilizing people for the election. I don't know. I've not really heard so much about APC, having issues with INEC. So how come it's all these opposition parties that are always having issues with INEC? So at the end of the day, I think we should do more. The law should be clear enough. Let's know who is trying to maybe do control. Let's know who is not trying to follow the court order, or let me say the court ruling now. But let's not mix it up, because now that the faction of Udeze is saying, INEC, we are giving you 48 hours. The other faction, their presidential candidate was uploaded recently. So what do you make of that? So this will affect them in the next election, whether you like it or not. So we should begin to look for how the law can be clear enough for everyone to understand, really.
I think you've made a very valid proposition, and I think it's very important that they look into that. We've talked about not having so much interference of the courts processes into the administration or the internal workings of parties. We've talked about that. I mean, we can't even overflog it now. We've had those kind of conversations. But just to add to what you said is that I think there is law. Well, a lot of times you say, is there a problem of not having promulgations, laws, and order in the country? That's not the case. The case is people have a way of finding a loophole in the law, and then they look for these loopholes, and that's where they tap into, and then make a mess of the whole situation. But yes, this is a continuous situation in the country. We've seen this time and again, but we're hoping there will be a stop to this in the days to come. But just lastly, before I leave this matter, one thing is very sure: if opposition parties cannot play their game very well, I'm afraid they are doomed to fail come 2027 elections, and even much more than 2027. Because if you are fighting a party that is as strong as the APC, you need every hands on deck. You need every organization. And there's a saying, according to the scriptures, that a house that is divided against itself cannot stand. So if the parties are having internal disputes at this level, I'm afraid the party itself does not have a lot of persons who are going to vote for it eventually, because you have divided your vote. Some are saying we belong to this faction, others saying, I mean, it should be a party thing, a consensus agreement, a general consensus agreement between party members across the divides to say this is who we are having as our national chairman or our candidate, and that should be it for them. I think that settles the issue for them. Right.
We also need to talk about the motive of this, smaller parties. Why exactly are you establishing a new political party? Is it to cause issues, later, before the election or after the election? You really have the intention? Because I mean, 10, 20 years ago, we were not experiencing issues like this. Yes, there were issues, internal problems, but we are not experiencing faction. Look at all the opposition parties. NDC, we have factions. PDP, we have factions. Labour Party, do you know that 10 years ago, Labour Party was not this popular. But then after the last election, they became very popular. They also have factions. They also named the party except for APC now. So it's a problem. We need to talk about the motives of this party too. And then we'll also talk about INEC too. And it's a fine place to leave that discussion this morning. We take a short break, and when we come back, we move on to the big story. We'll be right back.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
The strength of democracy is measured not by the certainty of victory, but by the confidence that every vote will count. Welcome to the big story. I'm Oluwayemi Adelako. As Nigeria gradually shifts its attention toward the 2027 general election, concerns about the credibility of the electoral process are once again taking center stage. Archbishop Emeritus of the Catholic Archdiocese of Abuja, Cardinal John Onayeko, has raised questions about whether the will of the people will truly prevail, warning that the instrument of state could influence electoral outcomes. His remarks have sparked sharp reactions from the presidency, and definitely with presidential advisor Daniel Bwala dismissing the comment as political rather than representative of the broader Christian community. So are these warnings a legitimate call to safeguard democracy, or are they simply another chapter in Nigeria's increasingly heated political discourse? The topic is democracy under scrutiny, Cardinal Onayeko's concerns, and the 2027 race. And joining us to examine the issues is Sam Nwoko, a deputy editor with the Nigerian Tribune. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning, viewer. Good to be here.
Right, so before we continue the conversation, there's a video I would love us to watch, that can help us, set the tone of the conversation this morning. Let's take a look at the video.
Mr. Tinubu's job of anybody. I had opportunity in this, your program, to remind Nigerians that as bishops, we have no ambitions to take Mr. Tinubu's job or anybody else's job. We are not politicians running for office. We are first and foremost religious leaders who feel we have a duty, not just to preach our religious doctrines, but also to address the lives of our people, both those who are our members and those who are not our members. You can see that from the content and the tone of our statement.
So you become like liberation theologians?
No, not at all. Liberation theologians can be considered more or less ideological.
Welcome back from that video. You know, the bishop said a lot that we cannot capture right now, but then let's start with this. He said this current administration, the president, is determined to win by all means. You know, do you think it's a political statement or is a statement that requires the national attention?
Now, it is both political and requires a national attention. The Catholic bishops, as we know them, for those who have followed the trajectory of this country, beginning from the military and so on, Catholic bishops don't mince words. They come, they tell you the truth. They did it to Abacha. It's historical. We know it. And we know that some of them even go for it. They kill priests. We know this. So, when he said that this government wants to win at all costs, we have all seen it. It's been said by other people. Complaints have been made. They've said the INEC had done a few things. Look at what is happening in the courts. Look at the appeal courts reprimand, in fact, trashing Justice Peter Lifu for some judgments that are unbecoming. We have seen people complain about INEC. There were even inquiries about previous posts made on X by INEC chairman and so on and so forth. Political parties had said it time and over again that they don't want them to be registered. Look at what NDC went through. It took a lot. And what were they arguing about? They said the two-finger symbol of that party is looking like the broom of the All Progressives Congress. I don't know how two fingers will look like a broom. And because of that, they delayed the registration of that party until the Supreme Court had to intervene. So thankfully, the Supreme Court didn't see the broom looking like two fingers. So the party was registered, and after that the problems continued. African Democratic Congress is battling its own. The PDP is completely obliterated, kind of. So when you aggregate all those things and look at how the National Assembly has been behaving, bring all those things together, it will tell you that yes, the present government doesn't even want to tolerate opposition. They don't want to hear anything outside what they tell us, or outside what they want us to hear, or outside what they feel we should be telling them. So I want to agree with the bishop, the cardinal, on that. Then on the other side, which is not political, it is also believed, because the preponderance of opinions. See what's happening in Osun. The only problem people in Osun are talking about is the problem the APC is giving them. So it tells you that in a way everything points to one direction, and the same direction, which is what this government doesn't want to hear and which this government doesn't want people to see. So I want to believe that what he said is both political and it's structural. Structural is even socially, comes with everything that is worrying this country as we are today.
All right, let's take a look at what Daniel Bola said. He said that the bishop supported a particular candidate in 2023 elections, that's Peter Obi, and that's why he's saying all of this. He thinks he's not even speaking for the Christians. He's speaking for the Catholics alone.
Okay, if he speaks for the Catholics, I think he's worth speaking for Catholics. Forget the fact that Peter Obi is a Catholic, so he wouldn't have come here to campaign for Peter Obi. But let's even keep that aside. When this same Bishop Cardinal John Cardinal Onayekon was pillorying Goodluck Jonathan, who was in PDP then, and the APC was was in the embryo, and the ACN and so on were all hailing him, who was he supporting? You know, when the tables turned, when Daniel Boala was even on the other side at that time, and they were all hailing this. So what I'm trying to say is that he should not even say, if he speaks for Catholics, there are at least 17 archdioceses in Ibadan, in Nigeria, 17 Catholic archdioceses, meaning that you have more than 1.7 million Catholics in this country. You know, just take the archdioceses alone, then not to talk of the dioceses and the parishes. So it means you have loads and loads of Catholics who are voters, who are politically aware, who are politically active, who have candidates, who have supporters. A Catholic priest is a governor in one state. That's to tell you the strength of the Catholic Church in this country. So if he speaks for Catholics, he has the right. He is entitled to an opinion. If he supports Peter Obi, so be it. What is wrong with him supporting Peter Obi? You know. However, are the things he said true? Are they fundamentally verifiable? Are those things? Are the things he said? Do they resonate with the people? Those are the questions Daniel Boala should answer. He should leave the messenger and address the message. That's Cardinal John. If he looks into the trajectory of the cardinal, even before the Onayekon became Cardinal John Onayekon, he was the Archbishop of Abuja.
Okay.
He was in Ilorin, and from Ilorin till the time he became the Archbishop, till he was elevated to the throne of a cardinal, he had always been speaking, even to governors. So I don't know why this government is so averse to criticism. It is wrong. They should at least always listen and not. You see, one of the opinions they have against him is that the president received them in audience, and he now went to speak about the audience they had with the president in the public.
Was that a breach? Because Daniel Bonda mentioned that it was a breach.
It was a breach of his priestly. No, it's not, because the audience there was a photograph. There was a report of the audience. Oh, not a report. There were reports of the audience. We had TV reports, we had it on the social media, we had it in newspapers and so on, of that same audience. So what is now the secret in an audience you granted to Catholic Bishops' Conference? And there are many of them. So, you see, I remember when in 2014, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Ibadan Ecclesiastical Province, they have Oyo, Ekiti, Ondo, that's Akure, Catholic Diocese of Akure, Ilorin, and Ibadan, Catholic Archdiocese, Oyo, Oshogbo, Ekiti, Ilorin, and Catholic Archdiocese of Ibadan. Yes, I think I'm correct. You have them all in this province. There was in 2024, one of the first things they told this president, they told this government is, stop government by palliatives. Because that time, if they say there is a bomb blast somewhere, they will take Christ to the place. If there is a fire incident somewhere, they will take Christ to the place. He said, look, stop government by palliative, start doing something more concrete to give people the required hope you are trying to offer them. Give them the opportunity to understand that, yes, this government is laying a foundation for what you want to do. And this is 2026. From 2023 to 2026, we are still discussing the same issues. The government is telling us one thing, but we are seeing another. Government is talking about microeconomic indices that are rising, and the people are saying, let the macro also rise. Let us see it in the life we live. Let us see it in infrastructure. Let us see it in the things we do. Now, from there, they moved, the same Catholic bishops, to say, look, when the criticism came that you should keep to your pulpit, you don't know what governance is, and so on and so forth, it is the same people who go to church that are in government. The people who go to mosque are in government. So if you refuse to speak up, but you keep complaining to your pastor, you keep praying for breakthrough, you keep praying for all those things they keep praying for, and say, people don't get, when you get your salary, the salary just dissolves in your hands. If you buy fuel once, your salary goes. It is these same people that will complain to their clerics. They are confessors, these priests. You go to confession, you tell them things. And when they now come back to tell you that, look, this is how we feel, I think they should be celebrated for even telling the truth to power.
But we have seen clerics, pastors and bishops, who come out to say this administration is actually doing well.
And
so how do we balance it?
What are the indices? Who is telling the truth? Is this administration doing well? Do we have stable electricity now as promised? What's happening to our infrastructure? Somebody traveled to Ogwashuku yesterday. They spent 7 hours in Benin City alone due to bad road. 7 hours from 10 a.m. till around 5:30, 6:30 before they could leave Benin bypass up to Benin Asaba Road. Infrastructure. But Dave Umahi is working, doing the things he is doing. But all those palliative measures, where are they?
The president also mentioned recently that the governors should focus on roads and leave flyovers.
They should. Okay, if the governors decide to do the federal roads, it is this same government that said, don't touch federal roads, we're not going to pay you. So it's a bunch of contradiction, this government. All I'm trying to say is that the Catholic bishops also spoke about security. Security, the economy, infrastructure, the social issues. Now, take security, even single out security. Because I know the president also responded on that point by point. They even spoke about INEC. The fact that people don't trust the INEC. Now, when they spoke about security, the government said, look, we are doing a lot, we have done this, we have done that, and so on. How many? Only last Thursday, a priest was stabbed to death by some bandits. They didn't shoot, they stabbed. He was going for a mass. Why am I saying this? These Catholic bishops know the number of priests they have lost to insecurity. We know what happened at the junior seminary in Kaduna, where they took 2 of the seminarians. One of them is 18 years old. When they said, okay, release them, one was going, the other one was going. They told one to wait, he waited, and they said the other one should be going. The second one that said, oh yeah, they said, oh yeah, yourself, follow. And as he was going, they shot him from the back and killed him, and then called his superiors to come and pick his body. These are same priests who have mothers, brothers and sisters. They have parishioners. They have priests under them who report to them what they see every day at confessionals, at mass, at normal discussions. They watch TV. They listen to the radio. So you cannot claim that they do not know because they are in Kasok. I remember very well when this same Daniel Boala and co were cheering on Bishop Matthew Hazan Kuka. When was the last time we heard from him? And like, is it Hananiah, the prophet Hananiah, who was eating from the king's table, who refused to speak the truth? Things like that happen. Now, Nigerians no longer want to hear Matthew Kuka. They will say, no, this one is government.
What about Father Mbaka?
Same thing. Nigerians are like, oh, no, because they look like they have been tainted.
But recently he called on the president to please release Nnamdi Kanu so that there can be peace in the southeast. He
will always speak. Because when he speaks, people will listen. And when they listen, to implement to do what he called for is another thing entirely. All I'm trying to say is that they should not think that these priests are some aloof group of people somewhere.
So you're saying they have a right to speak?
They have a right to speak. They are citizens. They vote. I was queued on the same... I didn't know. I wasn't queued. I covered the Ekiti elections so very much. And there was a day I had to tell the Catholic Bishop of Ekiti Diocese, Felix Ajakai, I said, my Lord Bishop, why will you stand on the queue when even the police, they beg him, say, go and vote and go? He said, no, let me take my turn. He was on the queue. He had a hat on to cover him, shield him from the sun. And one of the complaints, because I had to write his story, one of the complaints, one of the things he noticed was that people were collecting money to vote. And he said, are these the people who are looking for good governance? You can't be collecting money and voting. They vote. So they exercise their civil rights, they pay tax. They have so many people under them. And these are the same, they buy fuel. they run homes. There is a Catholic home for the needy in this Ibadan. We are minimum of 300 people are fed every day.
So at what point does it become interference? This is why I'm asking this question. In 2023, some northern clerics, they declared public support for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and their pictures went viral. That time, the bishops, even some came out to say, these are fake bishops, they are not true bishops. So, and then it was not interference. It was not tagged as interference then. So now that some clerics, the bishop, and I remember Bishop David Oyedepo, who is even not a Catholic, is also speaking on this administration. So at what point does it become excessive interference? When religious leaders, decide to say something about governance?
Is there excessive interference? Like I was coming up with, these are the same people who listen to their congregants day in, day out. They pay salaries, they buy fuel, they buy equipment, they run homes. So they operate within the same economy. Communion wine used to be sold for 6,000 naira. Communion wine. I think the brand is called Seven Apostles. Seven Apostles communion wine used by Catholics used to sell for 6,000 naira. But now that communion wine is 18,000 naira. That's 300%. And they will need it for the daily sacrifice of the Mass. And who are the people bringing out the money to buy these things? The parishioners for whom Bishop Kuka, Cardinal Onayekon are speaking, Oyedepo are all speaking for. It is the same people. Daniel Ebuala, maybe by his name, is a Christian. He will go to church. The the president said that they had always been poor. The poor will always, he is trying to echo Christ.
I mean, the bishop said the president does not like to hear the truth. That was what Bishop Onayekon
Well,
said.
I agree. Because from the reactions that have trailed his interview now, you know that they don't want to hear the truth. I'm sorry, I have to. Their body is repulsive to they are allergic to the truth.
Do you think it's because of a lacuna? This is why I'm saying this. Because this popular podcaster, Jude, he said the first time he went to Transcorp Hilton, the luxury, that was, there, it would be difficult for anybody who is not in that space to think that Nigerians are suffering. And if you look at the senators, the politicians, that's why they don't understand when an average Nigerian come out to say that I am suffering. So how do we balance it? How do we ensure that the president is aware of the struggles of Nigerians?
I think that's one of the things pointed out by Cardinal Onayekon. He said from the face of the president, they could see that he was uncomfortable with what he was hearing. And these are people, that speech he heard, it's written and signed by Ndagoso, the new president of the Catholic Bishops' Conference. What it means is that this truth we are telling you is written. Our imprimatur is on it. Our names are on it. Hold us by these things we have said. That is one group of people. Bold enough. In fact, I'm sure they will be regretting granting the Catholic bishops an audience. Because they are different from the bishops you pick on the streets who wear all kinds of things and call it clerical clothes. They are different. These are people who have names. These are people who have given their lives. These are people who have chosen a path and they are sticking to it. We know. Look, before now, during the military, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself should know. Bishop Okogie was a thorn in the flesh of the military until they blackmailed him into silence. But he wasn't even silent also, because people know. This Matthew Hassan Kuka got popular because of the way he spoke against bad policies of government and all anti-democratic elements. They know. So when he granted them an audience, perhaps he was expecting a situation in which the people with whom he operated from the other side have come to say, okay, do it this way, don't do it this way. But when they came up with their own truth, with what they think should be made, what they think the president should know, he became worried. All the people, I'm sure many people in that arena would be uncomfortable as they spoke. And these are people let me call them fearless. Of course, they are being killed. So what is it they are afraid of again?
Can we say that the president does not have enough information?
It's possible. He will be a lot of things will be shielded from him. Would the president have knowingly allowed something like the Prince Adeniyi matter to happen? I want to believe that there is a wall, there is a barrier. They filter the things that get to him. Well, from the statements echoed by Bayo Onanuga, he said no, that he has layers of friends who tell him the truth. Okay? If he has layers of friends who tell him the truth, don't they tell him how people feel on the street? Which the bishops also said. So why would he hear from friends, layers of people who tell him the truth, but won't want to hear it from clerics who are overseeing people? There are places, I know priests that go to ungoverned places to administer the sacraments. And when they do and come back, they will come to urban parishes to say, please, there are places where you will park your motorcycle or bicycle and you will have to trek for like an hour to get to those places. And priests go there, they pull their shoes. The Bishop of Enugu, Bishop Ona, had to ride a motorcycle. They carried him on an Okada to get to a place. You know why I'm saying all these things? If the president has people who tell him layers of people who tell him truth about the real situation, they should also know that the bishops who we are visiting also know layers of truth which they have added to the truth the president knows. All I'm trying to say in essence is that the president should be open to criticism. He should be open to truth. He should be open to the real situation in which the people are, so that he will be able to make his judgments properly. I'm sure with what has happened during that visit and after, he will be able to sit down and say, okay, what exactly is going on? If there was no poverty, why will Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu be telling some people to, look, use 10,000 naira, with 10,000 naira you can start to fry akara and roast corn? That's because there is poverty. Or how much can 10,000 naira do today? If 10,000 naira cannot buy you 10 liters of fuel.
Some will argue that he can still do something. I mean, if you have that, you can start pure water business or something.
Oh, nice. But that is all you have. Pure water business and all that surrounds it. And you wait for tax people to come.
In this economy. It's a lot to talk about. But before we go, Bishop also said something about INEC. He said INEC can't be independent if president still appoints its leadership. But the president has been appointing INEC chairman for decades.
Yes,
we didn't see any problem. So what's going on now?
That's what the Constitution says, that the president will have to appoint, unfortunately. So what he's saying is that do something about constitutional amendment. Because if the president keeps appointing INEC chairman, the INEC chairman will keep on being loyal to the president. That's the unfortunate aspect of it. You know, they also spoke about handing over of schools. And the president told them that, look, that's not something you should bring to me. Take it to your state governors and so on. We know what is happening in Oyo State, for example. So if there is a voice from up there which says, okay, let's take it as a policy and drive it, it will be better for education. A lot of people agree. The Loyola College will be 72 years. Was 72 years on the 1st of August. That's the feast of St. Ignatius of Loyola. That's when the school was founded. And one of the things the old students, the old boys are asking for is hand this school over so that we can better manage it. Go into the school and see decaying infrastructure. Yes, state governments should do that. But if the president says, okay, let's look at how we can do about it. I mean, that's not something bad to ask for. Because these are the losers who lost schools. St. Finbar's College. Now, many of the schools were returned by President Tinubu himself. And he knows what he went through before he was able to do this. So if there's a presidential input, it would have been easier for this kind of things to be done. So we should try to understand the perspectives. Will
it ever happen in Nigeria where the president will no longer appoint INEC chairman?
It could. If the constitution is amended to that effect, it will happen. And these are some of the things we keep struggling. We've been on constitutional amendment since the constitution was launched in 1999. And we've been amending it up to today. Unfortunately, things are often structured to switch political situations in the country. Each president that comes will bring up the matter the way he loves, and he will toe that line, and all his aides will go that line. Unfortunately, there is no opposition strong enough to stand up and say, okay, this is how we are going to do it.
Okay. Are we having these issues because much of the 1979 was dumped into the 1999 Constitution? I mean, no, that's like, over 30, 40 years ago, and that's why we are dealing with those issues.
Unfortunately, when this constitution came into effect in 1999, not many people saw it. Not many people. In fact, I remember one senior official of that era telling me that they had to hurriedly print copies of that constitution, whether it was completed or not, so that they could have something. He said many governors were not sworn in with that constitution in 1999, and that's because it was hurriedly packaged, and that is why we keep having problems with it up till today. They know, a lot of people know that the problem, the structural problem Nigeria has today is that constitution. And if that remains, then a lot of things will keep wobbling and forming. Now, a Supreme Court judgment has said local government autonomy. But unfortunately, it's difficult implementing that judgment simply because of the Constitution.
Some governors have even come out publicly to say, I do not believe in local government
Yes,
autonomy.
Governor Seyi Makinde said he doesn't believe in local government. That's because he has constitutional backing to do whatever he wants with the local government. Inside a particular frame that's given him. So he can interpret
Okay,
it.
should we change this constitution? I mean, get a brand new constitution? How do we ensure accurate interpretation?
For me, as an individual, when we look at some of the conferences we've had, it was a constitution. It was a constitution that said, let's have 6 geopolitical zones, have 6 vice presidents, and let the president do a single term of 6 years. It was in a constitution that was done during Ayo Ogunlade, Barnabas Gemade, and the whole Alex Ekweme and the whole. This idea of 6 geopolitical zones came from a constitutional conference. And they presented it. But when the military, Abdul Salam, wanted to leave in 1999, he took the things he loved and handed it over and left us with the problem. So we wouldn't have had the problem. In fact, I remember Fayose saying when he was governor, during his first time, it was in 2002 or 2003, before he had problems, he was impeached. He said the number one problem of our democracy, as at that time, was second term. So, if that had been cleared before now, if that had been taken care of, if the constitution had been, if the military had been magnanimous enough to give us the constitution as the people that wrote it did it, then we would have been in a very good stead to be able to say, yes, it's ours. Yes, it's the people's constitution. Because from the get-go, the constitution is a lie.
It's a law. Let's conclude this matter, because from my observation about what Nigerians are saying about this matter, what Bishop and I said, recently, the secularism of Nigeria, because we say Nigeria is a secular state, is it ambiguous in any way? This is what I'm asking, because some Nigerians have this ideology, because Nigeria is a secular state, that means religious leaders should not talk about governance, should not call out the president or the governor. Is it ambiguous in any way?
No, it's not. It's not. It's just the implementation of the ambiguity clause. The secularism clause that has messed everything up. It's always easy to find ways around stated matters, especially lawyers. Lawyers know how to do this. Now, if the bishop or the imam or maybe the traditional worshipper lives in a society, he will be expected to obey the rules of that society. So why will you cast his opinion away when he's also bound by the same laws that bound the other man who is secular? So it makes it easy for us to go straight. Listen to words of advice. Unfortunately, we cannot take it from the grassroots because it's very difficult getting to the top. But if there was a local government, you can tell the local government who operates. Penkelemes, Adegoke Adelabu was a local government chairman, and it was that powerful. So if we make our local governments that powerful again, then we may not even need the governor or governor general or even the president. But can we get back to the constitution that gave us that? That would be very difficult, because the people who are eating the perks of Abuja will not want to leave it.
It's a lot to talk about, but I like the fact that you've been able to clarify that part, that Nigeria is a secular state, yes, but then religious leaders can still speak on certain issues, in the country. Thank you so much, Mr. Samuko, Deputy Editor with Nigerian Tribune, for being a part of this discussion today. We need to go. Democracy survives when questions are answered with transparency, not silence. As the road to 2027 unfolds, public confidence in Nigeria's democratic institutions will depend not only on political assurance, but also on credible actions that can guarantee a free, fair, and transparent elections. Whether Cardinal Naikon's concerns prove prophetic or unfounded, they are reunited an important national conversation about accountability, electoral integrity, and the responsibility of both government and opposition in protecting democracy. My name is Oluwayemi Adelako. We take a short break, and when we come back, we conclude the program. Please stay with us.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the
Democracy on that screen. That's one conversation we might not exhaust for one of time and of space as well, but we'll keep our fingers crossed to see what comes of 2027 elections. That was
Exactly, and then just let me talk about the definition, the popular definition of democracy, the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. A lot of people do not believe in that definition anymore. They've been able to craft a new one entirely, and it's a problem in this country. And then just for me to conclude this morning, I think our laws should be clear enough. The interpretations should also be clear enough. Don't take any side. Let's just ensure that we do the right thing for this country. The conversations will definitely continue even after election. But then I think is a call to INEC to say that eyes are watching you. Be intentional about the things that you're doing even before the election and during the election period. Right. And my name is Oluwayemi Adelako. I need to say thank you for joining us this morning. I'll see you next time.
And I would say let the Lady Justicia, the representing symbol of the judiciary system in the country, be as blindfolded as she is meant to be. And let everything be free, fair, and credible come 2027. My name is Oluwayemi Adelako. Say bye for now.